Number 10. Wild bear selfie. Most people would say that bears are probably not the gentlest or kindest animals you would want to get a selfie with. Despite this common sense idea of not taking selfies with animals that are both incredibly dangerous and have a history of attacking humans, people continue to want to push the limit of what we are willing to do to look cool. In this photo, there's a young woman posing for a picture with her phone on a timer. In the background, there's a bear less than 100 yards away. This photo actually prompted the United States Fish and Wildlife Service to issue warnings about approaching, and especially posing for photos facing away from, bears and other large animals. Number 9. Dubai skyscraper selfie. For as long as we've been making tall buildings, there have been people who want to climb them. Daredevils have always tried to prove that they were willing to go above and beyond what a normal, sane person would do. And it has only gotten more prominent as photographs and phones have become more and more popular. As the city of Dubai began to get rich from its oil industry, more and more of the world's tallest buildings were built there. Of course, this attracted the attention of thrill seekers and daredevils from around the world, resulting in selfies like this one, taken over 300 meters in the air, completely unsupported. Number 8. Selfie with a wild hyena. Hyenas have a very bad reputation, largely driven by their depictions in media and the way they are shown as opportunistic scavengers. Movies such as The Lion King are probably one of the biggest causes for the spread of this reputation. Regardless of the reputation and how well earned it is, hyenas are wild animals and should not be messed with, which is apparently too much to ask of some people, who insist on taking selfies with anything and everything they can. While the hyena in this photo may look calm, many animals do when humans are involved. Regardless of where or the circumstances involved, taking a selfie with an animal that is not domesticated is always a huge risk. Number 7. Selfie on Chrysler Redeemer. Chrysler Redeemer is one of the most significant religious icons in the world, and is located in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. The statue stands at over 35 meters tall, well over the height of most buildings in the city. This selfie was taken on top of one of the statue's outstretched arms, which jut out 10 meters away from the statue, over open ground. The obvious danger comes from simply losing your balance and taking a very nasty fall. But a more subtle danger also exists. Brazil is home to many varieties of large birds, and getting hit or startled by one could lead to falling off the statue and a rough tumble down the mountain it sits on top of. All results are bad, and all of them are not worth the risk for a single selfie. Number 6. A selfie while running from the bulls. The Running of the Bulls is a world-famous sporting event that happens each year in communities around the world that used to be a part of the Spanish Empire. The biggest and most notable of the Running of the Bulls events held around the world is at Pamplona, Spain, which is also where this selfie was taken. One very important aspect of the Running of the Bulls is the fact that, often due to special regulations set up for them, there is no real safety precaution taken either for the animals or the people. That fact makes this selfie even more risky, given that being hit by a bull's horns is often a permanent injury. Number 5. Selfie in an active volcano. Unlike a lot of the other selfies on this list, this one is not exactly accessible to the average person. While anyone can go to a national park for a wild animal selfie, or climb a building to get themselves a very high angle shot, very few people have access to the resources needed to walk inside an active volcano. The man in the selfie is standing in front of a volcanic flow. He's wearing safety gear and thermal clothing, so the risk is not as extreme as it first appears. Regardless of any precautions, he is still standing within 100 yards of molten lava, which always carries an extremely high risk factor. Number 4. Selfie inches from a speeding train. While some people take selfies with wild animals, and some others journey to extreme places to get a selfie with an active volcano, and still more go to the top of buildings to get a picture of themselves hundreds of meters in the air, not a lot of selfie subjects can count themselves as brave or stupid enough to take a selfie just inches away from a speeding freight train. In this selfie, unlike any others, the danger has actually taken effect. The engineer on the train kicked his foot out to try and help the man taking the selfie to get out of the way of a train that weighs hundreds of tons. Number 3. Man has an arm in the lion's mouth. Regardless of the way it was raised, whether it was born in the wild or in captivity, or even if it's been severely injured and is missing limbs, a lion is one of the most dangerous animals on the planet. that we interact with on a regular basis. It would logically follow that in the interest of self-preservation, avoiding a lion at all costs would be a pretty damn good idea. Well, not for this man, evidently. He took the opportunity presented to him, the chance to meet a lion, and decided that instead of avoiding or leaving it, he would shove his entire arm in its mouth. To say that this selfie is a risk would be a pretty big understatement, since even the most mild-tempered lions that have been raised in captivity around humans for their whole lives are still fully capable of tearing this guy's arm off without any difficulty. Number 2. Diver selfie with a shark. Unlike most land animals where we have the ability to just leave the area or gather in a large group to defend ourselves, humans are not at home in the ocean. As such, we do not have the convenient ability to just leave if a shark or some other kind of marine wildlife starts to get agitated with our presence in its home. The most notable of the underwater threats are sharks, which have a well-earned reputation for being deadly to both humans and any available sea creatures nearby. We can see from the selfie that this man clearly does not agree with how dangerous sharks are. Not only is he free swimming with a shark without any sort of protective equipment, he is actively looking away from the shark, which only serves to make him react slower to the shark's movements. The risk carried with this selfie is both substantial and unnecessary, since you could achieve the same thing while in the safety of a shark cage. Number 1. Selfie directly after a plane crash. While all the other selfies on this list depict scenarios where a disaster could possibly occur, this one leans the other way, being directly in the aftermath of a disaster. Shortly after his plane made a ditch landing on the sea, this man decided that now would be an absolutely perfect time to snap a quick selfie, on the open water while stranded. There's something to be said about the willingness of people to put themselves in dangerous situations for a picture. But there is also something to be said about people who are willing to actively risk their lives in a very real, very deadly emergency situation for a selfie. Most people would agree that being a plane crash survivor would be harrowing at the best of times, but many fewer would ever think that snapping a quick selfie to commemorate the event would ever cross their minds.